It's Dave Johal once again for Punch Out Boxing. Pleased to be joined by my colleague in the South, Mr. Worldwide, Ra Hokum, after what was a fantastic masterclass by Alexander Usyk, fifth round knockout of Daniel Dubois. Wow. I mean, I was
Mhm.
there. I did not see that coming. Ra, did you see that coming? I mean, we both had it on Usyk point, so clearly we didn't see that coming, did we?
Absolutely not. I think we both got our analysis completely wrong on that. Um, for me, the big factor that I thought would have made it difficult for Usyk is I just think at his age that at any time he can feel his age, but how he proved us wrong. I guess just being that consummate pro, who lives that monastic life, he's able to hold back the effects of age in a way ordinary fighters can't, as well as the fact that he is actually just that good. Of course, I was there for the first fight, which is why I allowed you to go to this one for us this time. But damn, I mean, 2 years on, he seems to have got better. Um, there is one other mitigating factor actually, and when I saw the warm up in the dressing room and the ring walk, I did have doubts about my own prediction, and that was the fact that Daniel's father wasn't there for whatever reason.
Mm.
I have been emphasizing that he seems to be different when he's got his dad barking orders at him. Um, but for whatever reason, his dad wasn't there. So did that have an effect? Probably not a big effect, let's be real. But I don't know. He might have been able to stick to a game plan or change his shape somewhat if he had his dad there, but it wouldn't have changed the outcome. So yeah.
Yeah, I think looking at the fight as well, the whole thing was, I mean, Don Charles was saying it, Frank Warren was saying it as well, that Daniel Dubois has improved so much in since the last time they fight 2.5 years ago, which he has done. Let's be honest, he has improved
Hmm.
since the
Hmm.
loss. But being critical from what I saw, um, it looks like he gave it more of a shot in the first fight, right? If I'm being honest, I think if I'm being proper, really conservative, maybe Usyk gave away one round, two at best.
Hmm.
But I didn't see this in this improvement in this fight. I think Daniel Dubois looked mesmerized by the occasion. I think once there was a point where Usyk caught him with the hook and he went backwards. He never hit the canvas. I think that was in one of the earlier rounds.
Hmm.
Um, and from there, that was more or less the end. Frank Warren said it himself. He didn't move his head enough. His hands were dropping, and that was more or less the beginning of the end. Do you concur with what Frank Warren said?
Yeah, I mean, I think as you said, he was mesmerized. I think it's more a case of Usyk was that much better.
Mm,
I think in hindsight, it now looks like 2 years ago in Poland, Usyk probably went out and decided to stay in low gear for much of the fight. Maybe because it was a bit of a pseudo homecoming. He wanted to maybe give his fans a bit of a show before he closed it. Whereas this time, as we know from even from what he seemed to be saying at the press conference, he had a lot more venom about him. So clearly, Don Charles and George Fox's comments riled him up, and he wanted to put on a beating, which is what he did. So I think that it was more that. I don't think you're right, Daniel. He hasn't improved technically much in this time. It's more his the last three fights showed a lot more sort of confidence and determination. Um, but against a master like Usyk, that ain't enough. And yeah, he just wasn't given the opportunity to get any moments of success in the fight. Um,
yeah, I think there were some moments where Daniel was backing him up. There were
mm,
some flashes of, look, Daniel Dubois can do something and he can hurt him. And I thought, here we go, this is going to start going now as well. But it was just lacking the because I don't know about yourself, but I was expecting Daniel Dubois similar to what Chisora did in the fight with Usyk, which is
mm,
just to try and steamroll Alexander Usyk, plant his feet and just steamroll and hit everything, arms, elbows. hit him anywhere that's visible. But maybe I was, drawn into that. That's the way the fight's going to go. But it wasn't the best. I mean, clearly it wasn't the best Daniel Dubois performance. I thought he'd outlast him, and it would go to points. Everyone's been saying this as well. I mean, Usyk, it wouldn't be a bad thing if he retired.
Hmm.
But in the press conference, he said, "Look, he's gonna carry on." Are you surprised at that as well? You mean he's conquered absolutely everything in the heavyweight division, cruiserweight, Olympics, you name it. He's done absolutely everything. There's nothing left for him to do now. What's the point of him going
No,
back down weights? Like, there's no need.
no, no. I mean, I'm not surprised though because it's a story as old as this sport. These great champions, they can't seem to give it up. I always thought Usyk's, he's obviously a very spiritual man as well. I thought, he is more able to sort of let go of that limelight than most. But I don't know. It seems to be contradictory things. He did say he'll have one more, so I don't know if he's planning on staying around for a long time. Yeah, in terms of his legacy, there's nothing left because yeah, there's always other contenders, but none of them. If he beats Parker and Caballero, is it really going to add much to his legacy? I mean, you could say, well, all right, he's only
Dangerous fights though. They're
they
dangerous
are
fights.
they they
Yeah.
are they are,
As was
and
Daniel Dubois. As was Daniel Dubois. Let's be honest though. It's a champion versus champion. It wasn't a pushover fight.
yeah,
I think every stage now, there's a chance potentially that you have that banana skin. You have that legacy ruining fight as Dev Sani said. Potentially if he carries on and it goes on too long, even though Roy Jones Jr. is a great. If he retired after the Ruiz fight, he could have been held in higher accolade, right? So
yeah.
there is the danger, isn't there, Rob? If you carry on too
There
long.
is the danger. I still think my pre-fight theory does hold. At his age, there is always the chance against these younger fighters that he'll come up a cropper. Caballero, he does bring something different, terrific body punching like no one else in the heavyweight division brings. Um, Parker, much more technically adept than someone like Daniel Dubois, and has shown a proven ability to be able to sort of grit it out when things are going against him. So, and those guys are a lot younger and fresher than Usyk, so they are dangerous. So yeah, is it worth it? Especially if they're not particularly big money fights either. So yeah, I wanted him to retire after the second Fury fight, but let's see what his last fight is. Maybe, we saw Jake Paul get in the ring for what reason I don't know, but if he's looking at just some sort of exhibition type thing as his last fight, all right. But uh, I think that'd be as damaging in a way as well if he entertains such nonsense. So it's difficult to see what's left for him if he wants to carry on.
Yeah, I mean, we'll pay it some credence because both parties gone in the ring, and no disrespect to Jake Paul, he brings an audience, a massive audience, a global audience, and if it was to happen, I'd watch it. I'm sure you will as well. Um, Retirement would only open up the doors for the other heavyweights, your Moses Satamus and also Daniel Dubois again. He's only 27
Mhm.
years old.
Yeah,
Frank
yeah.
Warren clearly stated as well. You know this. We all know this. Frank Bruno challenged for the world title 3 times before he got it on his fourth.
Hmm.
So the world is still there for Daniel Dubois. It's not over, but it'd be good in a way. Two great things happen. Usyk hangs him up, has a great legacy, and then we see the next rise of the heavyweights because it, Turkey Al Sheikh was saying that he wants to see Moses in with Dan. Sorry, with Usyk already. Do you think that's a on paper it's a
No,
step
I
too
mean,
far?
I can see why people would be talking about that fight because clearly you're going to have to be exceptionally fast of hand and foot to trouble Usyk, which none of the four heavyweights he's fought have got that. Moses does, but he's too inexperienced. I mean, as we said, Usyk's mastered this game. If it was to happen now, I just don't think the timing is right, and I don't think the timing will ever be right for it to be fair to both men in the sense that I mean, look, Moses is near enough 20 years younger than him, so he's still too inexperienced. If you wait another year or two, well, then Usyk's what 40, and then it's not the same. You know, beating him at that age, it's a case of that people always say, well, you know, you caught him at the right time. So no, I think the best course of action for Usyk would be to retire, like I said, rather than ruin his legacy. And also as a selfish boxing fan, you know, I actually want that whole old guard now to be put out to pasture because there's a lot of exciting fights with the upcomers. Moses, as I said, Daniel still, you know, he's going to get no shortage of haters as is always happens in this game,
Mm.
but he's never going to fight anyone as skilled as Usyk again anytime soon. And of course, those other names, Cavaliel, Parker, you got Bacoli still in there,
You got
Lawrence
Anderson.
Okoli,
I mean,
yeah,
Anderson's still hanging about as
Anderson.
well.
You got the Olympian Jalalov, the other American Olympian. I forget his name. He made his debut on the Jake Paul card a couple of months back. Um, so there's a good crop of a new generation to come through, and
Leo Atang, there's another one as well.
yeah, of course, yeah. I mean, plenty of Brits to keep our interest in there for years to come. Obviously, Fabio. So I would like to see a fresh round of rivalries start up, and with the Saudis' involvement, with Frank having so many of them, you know, in his stable, it should be easy to make those fights. So I don't think we'll get a situation like we did with the Fury AJ Wilder era where they just were jockeying around each other and not making the fights. I don't think we'll get that. I think that we'll get the fights. And it's got the potential for being a great future at heavyweight. So yeah, I think Usyk, great servant, do us a favor and hang him up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Just before we go on to recent breaking news as well, that's come through. Usyk, generational great. Is he an all-time great? I'll go first. Yes, and yes. You know, you can put him in there in any generation, and he would be a hell of a lot of problem for, you know, your Joe Frazers, your George Foremans, your Mike Tysons, Muhammad Ali, Lennox Lewis, Klitschko. You can put him in there, can't you now? You know, solidify.
Yeah, I
Easy.
mean, I'm I have a tendency to try and stop people going overboard with praise, just as I try and stop people from going overboard with criticism or hate, as happens now. No doubt, Usyk, he's an all-time great fighter. Is he an all-time great heavyweight? I think for me, it's still a bit of a question mark because he left it late to come up to heavyweight. If you think about it, he's only had four top level opponents. Three of them he's fought twice each and
Six
beaten
fights
them
there.
completely.
Yeah.
Sorry. But
Six
yeah, I mean,
fights
if you,
right there.
yeah, so that's why I'm a little bit reticent about saying he's amongst the very best of all time great, just as a heavyweight. Um, because the body of work it's still limited. A lot of that weren't his fault. You know, you had the pandemic and things like that which held up everyone. Um, but yeah, that's just why I would be somewhat hesitant to put him up there. Maybe that's one reason why he's still talking about fighting on. Maybe he thinks, well, yeah, maybe I need to get to double figures for, you know, wins at the top level at heavyweight to be up there because you know, you're talking about guys like Muhammad Ali. I mean, they were like something like 20 plus world title fights. So, but I mean, purely in terms of ability, I think he could have lived in any era. Um, yeah, apart from a handful of the very greatest, I'd say I'd actually favour him. But again, also, I think he, like a lot of the British heavyweights of this era, the truth is they have benefited from the fact that America's checked out of the
Mm.
heavyweight division. We no longer have that real depth of boxing ability that we used to have from American heavyweights. So
Which is
yeah.
unfortunate because that's where a lot of that rivalry and kind of built from, to be fair.
Mhm.
Breaking news that's just come in. Josh Taylor has announced his retirement. Um, well, what do you think career-wise? Good career, bad career? Could have done more. Right
No,
time to bow out.
what a career. I mean, great. Got to say, it's a great career. Um, as a Brit, got to be one of the greatest Brits of all time. To have become undisputed champion in one of the toughest divisions, the first, and as it stands now, the only British male to have done that. And like I said, it is one of the toughest divisions that he did it in. Um, his championship reign was all against fighters who were in their prime. So again, there was no case of, him like trying to pick off, a vulnerable or weak champion. He fought the other champions in their prime. Um, I had the privilege of being in the arena for two of his biggest fights. Of course, the one against Prograis, one of the best fights I've ever seen live. Really close fight. Could have gone either way, but it was legit that he got the nod. And of course, his fight against Catrell, which launched our relationship here at Punch
It
Out
did.
Boxing, because it was the first press conference you sent me to here in
Yes.
London.
Yeah.
Um, so my first assignment was to interview the undisputed champion Josh Taylor. I remember speaking to him at the time, and I actually asked him, what's your objective? And he said, the objective is make as much money as I can and get out with my faculties intact. And from his message on social media, he's retiring ostensibly because of repeat eye injury. So he's doing what he said. He's getting out, keeping his faculties. Yeah, pity he. I guess his body did start to fall apart. What with the injuries and the inactivity. Saw last time at welterweight, couldn't be effective there. Um, yeah, unfortunate because of that. I almost have a sense of a little bit of underachievement for his level of ability.
Mm.
Uh, but again, I think things like the pandemic, the injuries, that probably didn't help. But no, no doubt for me, he's one of the greatest British fighters ever.
Yeah, I think every fighter sometimes comes across their bogeyman, don't they? And he met his in the form of Jack Catterall.
Hmm.
The beginning of the end was near, wasn't it, when they fought the first time? Understandable. Um, that sorry, in his eyes, he thought he won, but everybody else saw it differently. I remember getting
Hmm.
texts from you round by round and everything, what's going on and the controversy that night as well. But hats off to Josh Taylor. What a career. Um, right time to bow out as well. And we wish him the best. I had the pleasure of interviewing him once as well. Friend of the show, Aski Tear, kind of set that one up for us as well. But yeah,
Hmm.
we wish him the best. It's going to be a bit of a strange one these next few weeks, isn't it? Because we're going to have a bit of a hiatus from boxing through the
Yeah.
summer break. But what have you got coming up though in the next? I think you've got some couple of shows and TM14 and Dean White show coming up, right?
Yeah, this Saturday, Dean White's Black Box are doing their usual shows down in Tolworth. So I will be going to that. Of course, my good friend Abdul Munim, his son Jahid's continuing his comeback there. A couple of other prospects, are out again before they finish for the summer break. So yeah, that'll be the last show of the summer for me, and then we start again in September. And so, as ever, keep your eyes peeled. There's some big shows that I plan on going to bring you some exclusive content. We won't reveal yet
No.
who, but
Or where? Who or where?
or where. But
Yeah.
as you know, I do like an exotic trip.
And
Oh
guys,
yeah.
this one is going to be very exotic. All I'll say, this country is featured in Street Fighter. Yeah. So we're not going to mention any more on that. Ultrachum, I'll be there for Queensbury's card on the 23rd of August. No doubt we'll have some press junkets and stuff to go to between now and then as well. So keep your eyes peeled on Punch Out Boxing. Thank you for joining us today. And yeah, Usyk, he continues. Daniel Dubois. Let's see what the future holds. Cheers, Rob.